Welcome to What in the Smut podcast,
where the books are horny and so are we. I'm Elle.
and I'm Kay. So what do we got going on in the Smutverse this week?
Multiple newspapers, including the Chicago Sun-Times and the Philadelphia Inquirer, posted a syndicated summer reading list for 2025 that included completely fabricated books, real titles of books credited to the wrong author, and the wrong titles attributed to real authors. Only 5 of the 15 books listed with descriptions of their plots were even real. Though the article had no byline, a writer claimed responsibility for it and says it was partly generated by AI. I know. He tried to absolve the newspapers who published it, saying, quote, "They trust that the content they purchase is accurate, and I betrayed that trust. It's on me 100%. And frankly, I disagree. If you can't even be bothered to fact check that books exist, what other falsehoods are you willing to publish?
Yeah, that's wild. This is a wild story for a whole slew of reasons. One being that we've got journalists using AI to create their stories.
I know.
But then 15 books is not a lot of books to check. But
I
also
know.
maybe their editor was like, oh, it's only 15 books. They must have checked to make sure that these are real. The whole thing is, wow.
Yeah, could not agree more. Now, let's talk about a book that does exist, wildly enough, and is easily classified as a summer read. Kay?
So this week we read SPF Me by Holly Wilde, and the synopsis says summer is packed and ready for her weekend getaway. Maybe a little too ready, considering she brought along enough sunscreen to last a lifetime. Little did she know, the new skincare line from Sentient screen comes with a mini surprise. This is a story where the filth is the plot. If you're looking for something substantial, you won't find it inside these pages. What you will find are miniature men with miniature members. Just don't let that fool you into thinking that they can't make a big impact where it counts. Elle's just shaking her head right now.
Per usual, I had no real idea what I was getting myself into. I knew it was Sentient sunscreen. I knew that it was Why Choose. The fact that they are miniature.
Yeah, they're not real
They're not,
size men.
No. There was so much here. There are 22 pages in this book.
I wrote 22 pages. That's all. Nope. 19.
Yes.
It ended on page 19.
It ended on page 19. I think I texted Kay on page 7 and said, I am deceased. Like, that's how far I got in before I was like, what in the hell am I reading?
This is not a slow burn in any sense of the word.
No plot, which gets us into, I think, our smut scale rating. I put this firmly at a level 5. The logistics are questionable. We have 5 participants. The sentient objects are all tiny. Everything about it was, I don't understand what's happening, and I'm not sure I want to.
Yeah, this definitely has the icky sticky part of our icky sticky tangle of tentacles.
Yes.
It's an icky sticky tangle of bottles and
sunscreen.
That's the
Prepare yourselves for my weekly TED Talk about sticking things in places it should not go.
Yes, absolutely. There weren't any trigger warnings in this book that I could find in terms of like Holly Wilde writing them out. So any trigger warnings that come to mind other than the like just what the fuck of it all?
Yeah, I guess like there's a lot of insertion. There's anal insertion. She's choking on a sunscreen bottle at one point. There's just a, I don't know, warning for things in places you might not expect.
I mean, I guess 3 holes at once might be a trigger for some.
True. There's belly button fucking. Which feels like it should be a trigger warning.
I have notes on that also.
What did other readers have notes on? Okay.
So a 5-star from Amazon says, quick and dirty, just how I like them. This book is perfect for poolside or hitting the beach this summer. Short, spicy, and a lot silly. This was a really fun and quick read. I love how the female main character just rolls with the premise that her sunblock has come to life, and it's just a fun time. And a 4-star says, I've said it once and I'll say it again. Holly Wilde's brain. I'd love to be in there for a while because these books are something else. A Woman and Her Sunscreen. Brilliant. And I mean, I agree with that. I would love to talk to Holly Wilde and see, like, did you just laying out by the pool one day think, like, this could make a good book?
Oh my gosh. On Goodreads, we have a 5-star. With summer right around the corner, this is a great book to remind us of the importance of quality skincare and sun protection. Holly nailed it with her signature, quote, wild, sentient romance full of naughty humor and puns. A must-read for anyone needing a good laugh with a side of smut. On that note, I think that Holly Wilde is responsible for all the puns impounded by Poseidon.
Yes, her signature writing style is certainly not the
wildly beautiful, elegant prose that we enjoyed in Poseidon, but was, I think, the source of all of the incredible ocean puns that we also like.
The ocean puns and also, like, the setup of our Disney Channel original movie.
Yes, absolutely.
For sure.
Absolutely.
She has no shortage of creativity, that's for sure.
Agreed. And finally, for our reviews, a 2-star on Goodreads. This was, well, it was certainly a story that I read. Kind of gave me the heebie-jeebies, TBH. And
did you write that?
Yes, I willingly read this story back in February and posted a review on Goodreads without telling you about it, for sure. As always, we will be digging in. I was gonna say to the plot, but there really isn't
There's
any.
no plot in this one.
It's hard to even call anything we're talking about here spoilers, but yeah, if you want to read this before you hear what we have to say about it, now's the time to pause and come back to us.
I mean, this is a quick one, so this is definitely a good one that you could pause, probably read it in like less than 40 minutes and come back and listen. Give Holly Wilde her
page reads on Kindle Unlimited.
Absolutely.
Shall we get into it?
Let's get into it. So I did like the dedication in this one. To those who know that size really doesn't matter, it's all in the motion of the lotion. Which I had a typo in typing this out, and I wrote, "'Tis all in the motion of the lotion," and I think that works just as well.
I agree. I like that a lot. The beginning of this was like, I would say very realistic.
Yeah.
I have the first line highlighted because it was so relatable to me that I was like, I had to pause and was like, oh boy, are we going to have a main character that resembles me in any fashion? The answer is no, but I did appreciate how this book started, which was, without fail, the moment you sit down to relax is the same moment your brain pings you with a reminder to get up and do something. Only this time, it isn't my mind that wants me to stop fluffing my towel in place. It's Gianna's.
So I have a note that's like, who is Gianna to the female main character? Is she her friend, her roommate? I do know that she's irresponsible with sunscreen because she did not bring any with her, and that is why she is interrupting Summer, our main character's fluffing of her towel.
We do get some indication that they have potentially sexually explored together. They at least shared.
They're reminiscing.
They shared a guy. Yes,
if I remember correctly, our last girls' trip, we ended up sharing a guy. Gianna smirks. So like.
Did they take turns? Did they participate at the same time? Was it a threesome? I have questions.
Yeah, that's a good point. Because I just read it as that they had a threesome, but...
Sharing a guy doesn't necessarily mean that they both had sex with him at the same time.
Right, that just sounds like college.
Yeah, where the dating pool is small.
Exactly.
And you end up comparing notes. It's like, works out. I do have a couple of notes on just the entirety of the sun care line before they even have personalities.
Yeah.
There are some incredible, I guess we'll say, signature Holly Wilde lines, which is the whole line is supposed to be all organic with nut-based moisturizing properties.
Obviously.
Nut-based. One of the sunscreens is SPF 69, to which I wrote, nice.
It's funnier, though, you say it that way, so deadpan. Nice.
I do my best to ensure comedic delivery. And then finally, all of the testimonials I've seen say that it really is a miracle cream. Like, come on.
Also, SPF 69 is a bright pink bottle with gold lettering and a phallic design. And I said, I mean, that's got sales potential.
Yeah.
The marketing there would be pretty good.
For sure. Although I wonder, I'm sure there would be some campaign of think of the children on grocery store shelves, you know?
True.
Maybe an online only 18 plus product.
That's fair. A novelty sunscreen.
Yes, for bachelor parties.
I was going to say for bachelorette parties. They'd sell it on the pedal cabs in Nashville.
Yes.
So Gianna doesn't want any of the organic sunscreens. Yeah. She just wants the big bottle of SPF that is like at the bottom of Summer's bag. And I have like, poor thing, is that the only one that's not going to magically grow a dick because it's not part of this Sentient screen line? Like, oh, left out. SPF 30.
Good old sport SPF 30.
Also, I can appreciate this so much for a slew of reasons, and I'm sure you can as well. We lack a lot of melanin.
That's true. In case you hadn't realized by this point in the podcast, we are white ladies.
But like very porcelain skinned, I think pretty much both of us. So yes. I can understand having 4, 5, 6 different bottles of sunscreen depending on where it goes. Like you got to have one for your face. You got to have the spray. Sometimes you want, I can understand having a bunch of different ones.
I don't know that I would ever be carrying around 6 different ones.
No,
though.
But I have definitely had 4 in a bag at one time. But also
over-prepared queen.
I have children, so you got to have that extra kids bottle too, which is a little different.
Fair. That's fair. Mom energy for sure.
This podcast is so not mom energy.
Hey, moms fuck, okay?
That's how the kids get there. So she's looking for SPF 69. And it does say that the white spreads like silk and melts into her skin without feeling sticky. The scent is heavenly. Coconut, ginger, and bergamot are barely detectable underneath the jasmine and vanilla. For once, I don't feel ripped off by an online purchase. So I kind of loved how much went into the description of each of these because they, as much as like we talked with Handle Me about how the stick didn't have too much of a personality, she immediately gives each of these 4 sunscreens distinctive personality traits.
Yes.
Which is a testament to her writing.
I agree.
As wild as all of this is, like, she is very creative and really puts a lot of thought into each of these characters that she makes come to life. She brings them to life, if you will.
I want to say I will not, but I don't have a choice in the matter. So I appreciated that there was some true girls trip energy here before we go off the rails. Gianna and Summer are sitting by the pool. They got like a private Airbnb with a pool that's like got hedges around it next to a lake. They immediately out themselves as readers of Monster Smut because they start a game of Would You Rather.
Which I love.
And it all has to do with monster sex. And I'm obsessed. I don't even have words for this. But it says, would you rather have to always smell like monster jizz or wake up with the taste of monster spunk in your mouth for like a whole hour? And the dynamic between the 2 girls as they're like ribbing each other and thinking through the question more seriously than it deserves just really spoke to me on a visceral level. This felt very honest and true to life.
Well, I mean, what's your answer? I have notes on this. I said, do I get to pick the monster? Because Jack the Easter Bunny from Railed by the Easter Bunny, option number 1, it said that it was like marshmallow fluff. So to always smell like marshmallows? And I said, next question, immediately. And then she continues with, tastes like sunscreen and smells like coconut.
I'd rather smell like coconut forever.
Yeah, that is not monster jizz.
No.
That's just sunscreen. And still option number 1, I'd rather smell like coconut.
I don't want to have sunscreen in my mouth for an hour every day.
No. But I mean, if it was like marshmallows, either option 1 or 2, if it was Jack from Railed by the Easter Bunny. You're really thinking about this, aren't you?
I am. I'm trying to think if like, I don't know. I guess waking up with a taste of saltwater taffy in my mouth would be okay.
Nope. If you didn't listen to Pounded by Poseidon, go back and give that one a listen. Also by Holly Wilde. I hate saltwater taffy.
It's true. Which makes her a terrible New Englander, I'm pretty sure.
Mm-hmm. They're going to take away my card.
So they continue this game for a while they're drinking sparkling rosé and enjoying the sunshine until finally Gianna goes inside for a nap. And this is where it all goes downhill. Or off a cliff, I would almost venture to say.
A cannonball right into this pool, if you will.
Yes, I like that one.
So after drinking half a bottle of sparkling rosé, or her own bottle, I think that she said
they each had their own bottle.
So her friend has gone in and she's like, you know what is a good idea for me to go swimming by myself?
Correct. Don't do this. Practice safety around bodies of water, yes. Please.
So she's swimming, she's floating on her back, and then she starts to feel herself burning, which I've been there. I can tell when my skin is starting to burn. So she realizes that it's time for her to reapply her sunscreen.
Unfortunately, it is time to reapply her sunscreen. We're not going to reapply sunscreen for a while. So I feel like her sunscreens do her a serious disservice by not first covering her in sunscreen.
But it takes a lot of work for them to get to that point where they can cover her in their sun cream.
Okay. All right. I deserved that. It's very unclear, the logistics of this. I'm going to be harping on this point a lot.
Okay.
But at one point, at least one of the sunscreen's mouths is described as their cap.
Yeah.
But then they come out of their dick, which is not out of their cap. So they have two orifices out of which sunscreen can come out.
That's a good point.
Is it? Is it a good point? Or am I reading too much into this?
So I actually think that stick was the only one that the mouth... Oh, no, it's not. Because one of them, 69, also, it was talking about where the sunscreen comes out of and using that to suction. So I retract my statement. I don't know.
Well, let's get into it and see if our notes and the text clear it up for us.
So she hears a voice talking and she says, the pool has me relaxed and the rosé has me feeling frisky.
If I were alone in a pool and my friend was asleep somewhere and I heard a male voice nearby, I would not be feeling frisky. I would be concerned.
Yes, she doesn't like splash up out of the water and looking around for where that voice is coming from. She's like, ooh, that sounds like a nice... the mystery voice is deep, stern, and quiet. I mean, I like it, but if I wasn't expecting it, I don't think I would like it. So when movement right in front of me catches my eye, I finally see where the voice is coming from. To my surprise, it's not just one hottie, but 4 hunks. And by the looks of it, they're waiting for me to get out of the pool. So reading this, you think that there's going to be 4 real size men.
I had to reread this like 3 or 4 times. I was so I flipped back and forth between these 2 pages because I was like, wait, somebody explain this to me. Like, I know the preface was at the beginning and it included that they were miniature men. And still, I was expecting human-sized men, much to my shame, I guess.
So I said, like, it's relatable. She realized she needs to reapply the sunscreen. Relatable. I was on board for that. What is not relatable is how easily she seems to accept the fact that these 4 bottles of sunscreen are alive and apparently the size of a Smurf. Like... So she just starts talking to them. Like, I think she has sun poisoning. She's already burned. She has sun poisoning and she's hallucinating because...
You're so right. Yeah, that makes the rest of this make so much more sense.
It's just the haze. So she just starts talking to them. And, like, I really think that if this is just a hallucination, I can get more on board with the story itself.
I agree.
So she says, what brought you to the party? And Zinc, who is the
protective dad,
most protective, yes. And I mean, clever again, because Zinc is going to give you the most protection. I'm pretty sure you did, gorgeous. Zinc's tone is dripping with swagger. He has the kind of voice that could make me wet if I weren't already soaked from the pool. Yuck. I didn't like that.
I generally don't appreciate a man who has that much confidence.
No, I mean, however, when we get to my fan cast, if Zinc from my fan cast said that to me, I would be okay with it. So we get a little bit of a description of each of these sunscreens. So Spray has muscular legs.
I hated this line, though, when she's describing Spray. His eyes raise slowly as he lustfully struts over to me. This is where I have in my notes, yes, okay, I know which author was responsible for which lines in Pounded by Poseidon.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm interested to read the other author, Thea Mason. I'm interested to read one of her books that was just her writing.
Same.
To compare the two. So Zinc is the most protective. She mentions he's got a dad bod, true dad bod softness, which is funny. And then Stick.
With more of a boxy frame, Stick has broad shoulders and incredible back muscles. Even if his core isn't as ripped as Spray, it's clear to see that this guy is strong. Floating on his back, his semi-hard dick bobs to the surface, his tip tucked away inside the foreskin.
Yes, I have that note also.
Is it common practice for sunscreens to be circumcised, or was this worth calling out, do you think?
It's so unnecessary for that descriptor. And then, like, do the sunscreens wear clothes? Like, did he have to take his swimsuit off to get to that point? Or, like, I don't know.
Did he come to life fully naked? Because they all have dicks. Spray's description is what killed me dead, I think. The bottom of the filmy layer forms a heavily shadowed V, carved like an arrow pointing down to a tiny cock swinging in the wind with every step. What do you mean? I am deceased. I don't even know what to do with myself this entire story.
I feel like if it's so tiny, it can't be swinging in the wind.
Swinging, right? I can't.
Yeah. Also, I understand that they have to have legs in order to walk, so they're not, like, bouncing across.
Oh, my God.
But where do the legs come from?
Like Veggie Tales?
Again, how many times has Veggie Tales come up in this podcast? So, like,
all I could think of when you said bouncing.
I feel like you need to draw out these.
Do I?
Yeah, you do. We need to have a picture of it.
Oh my God.
Though I'm sure we'll find a quote in there that you can utilize for your creative endeavors.
I will work on this. It has been a while since I was as inspired as I was by Pounded by Poseidon.
So it says Zinc has a dad bod, and then there's a hint of firmness under the rounded metallic silver pot of his body. His cock, on the other hand, isn't hinting at anything. It's fully erect and casting a shadow on the ground like a sundial as he approaches us. So, like, I don't understand the proportions of these.
Me neither. A sundial. You're telling me that Zinc's dick is big enough for her to tell time by. That's what this says to me.
See, the description of it right now just is giving me Danny DeVito energy. And it just makes me think of that episode of Friends where Danny DeVito is a stripper.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
That's not my fan cast, though. My fan cast went in a completely different direction.
I can't wait.
So, yeah. Then there's like a jump scare. Stick comes over beside 69 and says, I want to hear you scream our name while I stretch that sweet pussy of yours around my face. And I said, cue Elle's TED Talk.
Quite literally, do not put sunscreen up any of these holes.
No.
None of them. Don't put sunscreen in your mouth if you can help it, but mostly because that's just unpleasant. But don't stick sunscreen up your ass. Don't stick sunscreen in your vagina. So bad.
And there is a borderline problematic reason that we'll get to in a minute why you really shouldn't stick it up your ass.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Yes, in fact. We're lucky that this didn't end in a visit to the ER.
So now they're all in the water, and they untie her bikini top.
True.
And it says, Spray lets out a whistle from the hole in his nozzle as he takes in the sight of my exposed skin. Like, that's funny. It's like, that's funny.
Yeah, it is. It is.
So this is where we lose the plot entirely.
Yes. I mean, I'm not sure we were holding on to the plot before this, but I think my favorite so far was Zinc kicks in the water to keep himself afloat while he reaches up and unties my halter strap. Every few kicks ends up crashing into my chest, the impact bouncing my tits and causing waves that move my men. Like, we get many references to how buoyant and large her breasts are. And now I'm trying to, like, picture how big they must be for them to cause waves by being kicked.
So she does refer to her curves a lot. I think this is kind of a big, beautiful woman kind of situation. But
I don't think I've never been in the water naked. No, you're learning things about me. But I've never skinny dipped, which feels sad now that I've said it out loud.
You're still young. There's time.
But, like, are breasts that buoyant?
Yes, I have skinny dipped.
Okay, all right.
And yes, they float. So,
okay.
and I mean,
I've only ever had them strapped down.
I am on the larger chested side. So, yeah, no, they float.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know that they're making waves by themselves because of a sunscreen pot kicking them.
I mean, if a woman has big enough boobs, they will make waves, so to speak.
Make waves. Got it. But yeah, no, it's all fat tissue, so it's buoyant.
You're right. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. Oh, one of the other lines that I would like to call out here is after Spray lets out his whistle. Pink and taut, my nipples jut out into the water like lifesavers ready to save the day.
Yeah.
For a lot of these.
Yeah, they're... So Zinc stops kicking, lunging into the deep crevice of my bosom and reveling in the way they squeeze around him. Stick, 69, and Spray also hop on the makeshift pool floaty of my buoyant tits.
So they're big enough to hold 4 bottles of sunscreen.
Yeah.
That's
big.
She's well endowed. She is a well endowed lady.
So, like nipple clamps, Stick wraps his fist tightly around my right areola while 69 grips my left. Heaving their weight onto my forearm, I give my boobs a hefty bounce. The 4 little sun men look like they're romping in a rodeo the way they grip onto fistfuls of my flesh. I just am having a hard time with these little hands.
And we get a lot of references to the little hands, especially in this next paragraph. So she rolls over to get them onto her back so she can get them out of the pool. And she has decided to give them, quote, the ride of their lives. Mm-hmm. I can feel their hands along my spine as I swim. Surprisingly, their touch doesn't tickle, which I expected with such tiny fingers. It's actually sensual how light their caress is, and I am eager to get out of the pool so I can see just what they feel like when they touch more sensitive parts of me. I don't like it.
So there's other references to this where like the light touch sounds a little bit nicer than this did. I mean, a tickle I feel like wouldn't be terrible.
No, but with tiny hands and light touches, like I feel like I would just involuntarily be like shaking, like feeling like there's a bug crawling down my back.
So it takes all 4 of them to grab onto her bikini bottoms and dive down to take them off, which made me laugh.
Yes. And for some reason, so the bottoms have been removed, and she's watching the sunscreens figure out how to exit the pool.
And she doesn't help them.
1, she doesn't help them. 2, when they manage it, she says it's such an incredible feat of pure strength the way they team together, which alone would get my heart worked up. But toss some sexy muscles in the mix and I'm no longer dripping solely because of the pool water. Like, what do you mean?
How are they sexy muscles when they're so tiny? I don't...
Right?
Yeah.
It's like little, and like the teamwork is what got you hot and bothered. Like, I don't know.
Well, counterpoint.
Counterpoint. Yes, go ahead.
The teamwork, she's anticipating some teamwork in a few minutes, which they do give to her.
That's true.
So they know how to work together essentially without having to speak about it.
This implies practice.
I feel like in these kind of why choose, they typically travel as a group.
A pack, a herd, if you will.
What would you call a group of sunscreens? Definitely not a murder.
Definitely not a murder.
An orgasm?
Ooh. Oh, man, I don't have a better one than that. That was good. Yeah, I think you're right here that we've got some big, beautiful woman representation, because it says, the moment I feel all of their eyes on me, I turn and strut over to the lounge chair so I can dry off. I make sure to intentionally add an extra wiggle in my steps so they see my full ass and thick thighs jiggling like a private show for my mini men.
So that's great, okay?
I'm on board.
However, I am not on board in the next 2 paragraphs.
Yes.
Where she lays down. She sets up a little, like, she puts the chair mats on the ground. Okay, cool,
great.
Whatever. She lays down, and then I revel in the way the sun heats my skin to the same warmth that is pulsing between my thighs. Okay, great.
Yep,
Good
all
start.
good.
I prop my feet up onto the cushion and angle my legs apart so the sun can shine into my shadowed crevices.
I also have this highlighted.
No.
Absolutely the fuck not.
No. But also, wasn't there a time where people were like sunning their assholes for like their health or whatever?
She does mention that her asshole is tan.
Yeah, I have a note about that too. So then
this was where I just like, I had kind of been like, okay, but how little are they? You know? And this was the confirmation that I guess I needed. It says, so how do you want to do this? Are you planning on taking turns with me? I ask. They are so small that I can't blow them or even give a hand job when their dicks are the size of my fingernail.
You want to know what that reminds me of?
Abso-fucking-lutely I do. Please tell me.
In Meet the Fockers, where he talks about milking the cat.
I have nipples. Could you milk me?
But she asks them, how do you want to do this? I have that also highlighted. And I said, I also have logistical questions. How is this going to work? And this is also just about where I sent you a picture of my face as I was reading. Where I was like, what is happening?
Perfect. So perfect.
So 69 rubs the head of his cock onto her cheek. But again, we're talking about the size of her thumbnail. So like, that's pretty tiny. I don't think I really want the head of a cock on my cheek, no matter the size of it.
Yeah, we once again are talking about, last time it was the cocticle from Poseidon, where we were like, yeah, I don't think I want that on my face.
Yeah. And then he says, I don't plan to stop until your entire body is painted white. And even then I might keep going. I mean, you got to make sure you cover every spot or else you get a weird tan line. So, okay.
Not that it seems like she cares about her skin if she's exposing her pussy to the sun. Anyway.
This is one of those sections that makes me question, again, going back to Poseidon, whether or not she did have something to do with some of that beautiful prose. Because teeth find their mark like a bee sting of lust. The sounds I make when one man bites me brings a series of stings to my body from the rest, and I realize it's too late. I've kicked the hornet's nest. Like, that's good.
Yeah, I have that highlighted as well. You're very correct. Maybe a judgment too soon. I did not like, though, that it followed up with that immediately with, it's a full body assault coming from all sides.
Yeah, I didn't like that either. So this is one of those times where we're talking about, I think it was Stick, where his cap meets his, was like his mouth.
Yes. This is 69. 69 takes the reins from Spray. His mouth opens wide so he can suck me into the dispensing hole.
See, not even the part where I was thinking.
Oh, well, there you go.
Stick. It is Stick. So his mouth is the opening where the cap and bottle meet.
Yes.
Which, again, the logistics of it, when I think about a stick of sunscreen, like, the cap is usually really big. Yeah. So, like, his mouth would be real.
We're both just, like, miming opening the stick of a sunscreen.
But, like, his mouth would, if it's, like, if we're talking like this, his mouth would be down on the bottom. So he'd be, like, mostly head.
Oh.
I mean, it just,
Okay.
the logistics, we need them.
The logistics.
So, spray gently lubricates her nipples with a spray, which, okay, I can get on board with that, sure.
I can get on board with that, yeah.
But then at one point, it says, I try to hold back, but I can't keep myself from crying out as spray reaches lower and lower. My pussy burns for him, and it's not just because the sun is heating my slit. I said,
absolutely not.
No. I said, no. Burning is never normal. Go see a doctor. It doesn't matter if it's because of the sunburn or no, burning. Nope. No. Go see a doctor. That's not okay.
Yeah, I agree. And so Zinc says, looks like you may need some help holding it all together. I know just how to keep that mouth of yours busy enough to stop you from screaming. We don't want to gather an audience now, do we? And this was where I started to be like, no, like very gross.
So also, I had skipped over when I was first reading it that Zinc was like a little pot of sunscreen. So this is like legitimately like a ball gag in her mouth.
Yes. Yep. This is
so
exactly
I wasn't
that.
putting that together until right now. So he, as though climbing into his sleeping bag, he drops into my mouth feet first. His small cock rubs against my tongue, the stiffness of it surprising me as it pokes into the pliable flesh. However, she said it was big before, so is it big or is it small? Elle's poking her tongue with her thumb.
Just trying to imagine that sensation, and I regret everything.
She says, I realize he's right. I can't cry out with an entire tub of sunscreen gagging me. So essentially, it's a ball gag, which, I mean, that could have been a trigger warning that we kind of missed.
Yeah, maybe. But then
it gets worse.
It gets worse. It goes, which means that no noise escapes me when Spray and 69 reach down between my thighs and grip onto the lips of my pussy. Like opening curtains to a theater stage, they stand on either side of my body and pull apart the smooth, waxed skin to expose my opening fully to the world.
Yep. Nope. Absolutely not.
The problem with all of this, I think, is that it's funny. It's not sexy.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't think it's erotic at all. It's incredibly fun. The puns are hilarious. Like, the imagery is crazy and wild. Thank you, Holly. But, like, it's not at all turning the reader on. And maybe that's the point, but it's not what I expect out of a erotic novel like this.
Well, we do follow an account on Instagram. It's Atomic Apple Pie Official. And in some of hers, she like takes out a spray bottle. She'll read things like this, where like opening curtains to a theater stage, she'll look at the camera and be like, absolutely not, and spray the bottle. So I think we might need to tag her in this one because she needs to know about this.
Yes. Could not agree more.
So then she also refers to her vagina as feminine doors. I said, that's a new one.
That is a new one. I mean,
Holly Wilde we did have a whole list of words for vagina from her book. So, I mean, very creative.
This is true. I also, now that we've opened her vaginal lips, like the entrance to a theater stage.
And entered into her feminine doors.
Yes, and entered the feminine doors. Stick, without any warning, the stretch of his head going inside me leaves me choking around Zinc. And I'm not talking about the head of his cock. I mean his literal head. He dives face first into my pussy, climbing into my vaginal canal like he's rock climbing inside a cavern.
Yep. I mean, why is it so big?
Cavernous. We're not here to judge anyone for the size of their vagina, though.
No, but
how big is Stick? It once again leaves me questioning the sizes of these sunscreens, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I should have brought my sunscreen bag so we could have some props to go along with this.
I don't know that I need any more visuals.
So, like an explorer in search of priceless treasure, Stick moves around with purpose inside my womanhood. The moment he finds what he's looking for, my G-spot, my whole entire body shudders.
Oh my God.
It does say that he is using my G-spot as a pull-up bar.
I have just how in capital letters. Like,
I
okay.
mean,
Sure.
the anatomy of the G-spot is a tricky business. You're not going to find it in an anatomy book. So, like,
No.
the actual...
Like, it's a bundle of nerves, but, like, she says he expertly handles it so that she doesn't lose the electric feeling while he pumps. But if he's using it like a pull-up bar, whatever. Okay.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, 69 and Spray let go of her pussy to go find other fun.
They've opened the theater stage
yes,
to let him in.
They've done their job. The ushers are now free to move about the theater. And this part, I was like, what do you mean? What do you mean? Because it says, true to his name, 69 mounts my body and angles his head so that his mouth is poised around my clit. Because I was like, for it to be 69ing, like, you have to be sucking his dick. Like,
yep.
I'm sorry. It's just, that is correct. But it shows what I know, because as if my body were made for him, the way that he is laying down lines up his cock with my belly button, using the innie like a fleshlight. He humps his little hips up and down against my stomach. I cannot.
I've never had my tummy fucked before, but there's something so erotic about having almost every hole of my body used for their enjoyment. Your belly button is not a hole.
It's just not. It's a divot. I'm so overwhelmed.
Yeah, and I have a note where I've never had my tummy fucked before. I said, me neither, and I hope it never happens. Ever.
Same.
Ever.
No, that cannot happen.
So Stick and 69 working in tandem, that's great.
Yep, love that. Both my clit and my cunt are lavishing in the attention my sun men give, so they sync up their movements, which is 100% love that.
So then Spray heads south.
Yes. Oh no.
I hear him whistle at the sight of my tanned hole, the last part of me waiting to be conquered. Again, even I went tanning for, I know it's bad for you, but yeah. I was going to Florida, so I went tanning for a full month.
Getting a base
tan. Mm-hmm. I can assure you, dear listeners, that my hole is not tanned. That is not possible.
You literally have to
That would take some serious maneuvering. No.
Yeah.
No. How is it tanned? It leaves me with more questions than answers.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I also did not like that he lubes up her ass with sunscreen.
However, I didn't like it either. I'm just playing devil's advocate here. But however, I prefer that he's using that on her ass than her vagina.
I agree.
There's going to be less chance of infection by using sunscreen inside her ass than it is her vagina. So, I mean,
true.
This
is a good point. We'll take the wins where we can get them. So it says, planning to match his plunge with Stick, he taps his buddy on the ass to let him know that it's time for some synchronized swimming. And then each enter, one through the vagina and one through her ass. Mm-hmm. And she says, I can feel their hands inside me as they give each other a high five. The thin walls of my insides serving as the only barrier between their celebration.
I mean, is that like an Eiffel Tower with sunscreen? Like, it's oh no, that would be mouth, not, never mind. Yeah. Never mind.
Well, anyway, I'm deceased. I don't want that shit. Feeling their joy as the two friends tag team me makes me chuckle. The vibration of my laugh tickling Zink's cock and balls in a way he clearly loves. It's so unserious. It's doing its job well, but I am just so overwhelmed all of the time.
So it also said, like, it's really working for her, and that's great. Yes. I'm so happy for her. But indeed, it says, if on instinct, I take over the pace and rock my body back and forth. If rocking your body's not going to do anything, because they're like...
There's nothing to rock against. They're inside of you.
Right. So, like, you're just kind of moving them around a lot, but it's
Yeah.
not changing anything. If anything, it might be making it more difficult for them to do what they need to do.
Indeed. Yes. Let the men do the work.
My hips grind in circles as I pump them in and out of me, slowly at first before tossing in a few frantic thrusts. What are you thrusting? Like, are you using your hands? Is she using them like...
It doesn't say she's using her hands.
Oh, well, I keep that same rhythm, stroking their bodies as I let them sink knee deep into me.
Oh.
So I guess she is.
That makes more sense.
Yes, that makes me
Okay.
less upset.
We figured out the logistics. Feeling the way Stick's short, boxy, rectangular frame stretches me in ways a rounded dildo never could, I moan loudly as I feel spray slicking my ass from within, priming my hole for his cylindrical form. His nozzle dispenses lubricant. God,
It's like a gentle kiss to my anal trench.
God, I hated it.
Oh my God. I do have Spray's nozzle dispensing lubricant. I can get on board with that, but that's about it.
Yeah.
If we're just talking lubricant, which really we're talking sunscreen, but it is organic, so I don't know. I'm a little torn.
Of everything that's going on here, I think we're going to have to let this one go.
However, my muscles tense as my climax builds. I never thought I would hook up with 4 men at the same time, but especially not 4 men that are actually my sunscreen bottles come to life. I carry them everywhere with me, and I'm so lucky they chose this moment to reveal themselves for what they really are. Not men, Smurfs. I'd take the hockey stick. But also, so she finally comes, and with a sudden push from my explosive contractions, Stick propels out of me. His small body skips across the pool like a stone as he lets out a victory wail. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. She just projectiled that sunscreen like a ping pong ball in a sex show. Like, what?
Clearly, she's been doing her Kegels. All I have to say about that. Good pelvic floor exercise is key.
Then
we get the almost trip to the ER.
Yes. You can't have a push without a pull. And the suction of my cervix rocks my core so hard that it clenches the muscles of my asshole, sucking Spray up inside me. Only his little feet are left, kicking and tickling the skin of my gaping hole as it closes around him.
Dead. Deceased. I'll never be able to read another one of these because this one has killed me dead.
Well, I guess that's it for What the Smut podcast.
We had a good run.
So, Zinc climbs out of her mouth. 69 goes, "We got you, buddy," and they start to pull at his feet. Spray says, "Leave me in here so I can die a happy man."
I did like that. It didn't seem like it would be. Once again, no prep done for such an activity.
However, we don't know that that's not something that she does. So
that's true.
Perhaps she didn't need significant
Perhaps
prep
she came on this girl's trip ready
for anything.
So they managed to pull Spray free, and he plants a tender kiss on her rim and says, "That was the hottest moment of my life." Everything about this is giving me the ick.
Yep.
Gripping his bottle hood, he runs the tip up and down the crack before turning to join his friends. Like, why?
But also, again, we're not sticking with any consistency with how big they are.
No.
Because, don't get me wrong, but the size of a thumbnail up and down, like, that's not going very far. You'd have to be jumping to really get, like, up and down the crack. You know?
Yes. We then get into a little bit of a Dom sub moment here. Just a touch. All 4 of them are like kind of teasing her with the possibility of giving her sunscreen since she needed sunscreen like an hour ago. She's turning pink.
Yeah.
I am curious. I have this highlighted because I have a question for you.
Okay.
How do you feel about baby girl?
I like that. I was just going to say, he says, "Please. You hear that, baby girl? You're in a dangerous position out here, all exposed to the elements." I like that. I still don't think I like daddy. However,
we were discussing this,
and we'll see. I mean, I didn't hate that at all. But again,
Yeah.
I need to get myself out of the mindset of this is a sunscreen bottle.
Yes.
And put it instead. If we were to make this into a film, I would want them to turn into
Full-sized men.
full-size men.
Yeah, I agree.
Because
I think that's
I don't
necessary.
think we need the CGI of them being.
No, that's horrifying. That's like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Yeah.
Talk about a throwback.
That's all I could think about for a lot of this.
So 69 says, good thing you have a strong group of men here to protect you, right, baby girl? You need us to keep you safe, don't you? And she says, yes, I whimper meekly. I need you.
And then he says, say it again. 69's voice is gravelly as he makes me beg. Liked that a lot.
I had a feeling you would. And she says, I need you, all of you. I can't stay out here alone. I can't survive the sun without you. I'm much too vulnerable to the sun's penetration when I really just need your penetration.
I mean,
and so they make her beg for several pages. And then whether or not she's earned it is up for debate. And Spray says, I don't know. She did suck me up into her asshole. And she shot me across the pool, teases Stick. So they eventually give in, as of course they were going to. Their whole purpose is to protect her from the sun.
so 69 apparently smells like toasted coconut goodness.
Mm-hmm.
Spray is next to blow his wad releasing like a fire hose, which I did not like that at all. Especially since Spray would be like a mist. It wouldn't be a wad of anything. No, thank you.
Some of it lands on Stick's cock, and the tickle of another man's seed brings him to the brink, which I thoroughly enjoyed. The only real indication that they might swing both ways.
And I feel like we've talked about this before, too.
Yes.
Like, when you've got that many men, I am totally on board with some of them exploring and entertaining themselves while...
Yes.
Yeah.
I guess by making them so small, the logistics mean that they don't have to interact with each other.
That's true. So Zinc, which is where Zinc belongs, waddles over to my face and traces the tip of his cock along the side of my lip. Now, I don't like a facial. We've talked about this.
Yeah.
But in terms of, again, I need to remember that they are sunscreen, and that is where Zinc sunscreen belongs, is on your face. So, okay. And then they start to rub it in.
Mm-hmm. They spread it like it's butter, and I'm a hot slice of bread. Gliding the cream in little circles so they don't miss a spot. It is fun.
It's clever. No spa treatment in the world has ever felt this indulgent. There are some things human hands just can't do. They are being meticulous, not missing any fold or crease as they lovingly touch my curvy form. So again, she's pretty frequently talking about how she's curvy.
Yep, we're here for it.
And then he says, or Stick says, you're now protected for a whole hour of outdoor fun, baby girl.
Oh, a whole hour.
Until she gets in the pool. She says, I'm going to take a dip and cool off. So you just washed all of that off by immediately climbing into the water.
Let it dry.
You need at least a half hour.
Yeah, but none of them seem to, have issue with that. The biggest problem that they have is don't you dare put that bikini back on or else we'll have to take it off of you again. But yes, they say, we'll be waiting for you when you get out. And she says, my freaky foursome is going to be the end of me because I don't know if I'll ever enjoy regular sex again after this erotic experience. Still, I wouldn't trade my summer fling with my Sentient sunscreen for anything in the world.
And that's
and
that's where we end.
That is the end of this story. It was so much.
For 19 pages.
For 19 pages. I thought that Executive Boner, the T-Rex law firm, was a lot, which it was.
It was, yes.
This one was a lot.
I think I preferred this to Executive Boner.
Tell me more. How would you rate it?
I think I rate this one a 3.
Oh.
I love a white shoes. Again, I think that I don't think that in practice I would be very good at that. However, the concept of 4 men just being obsessed with me, love that.
Yeah.
However, it was funny, despite the fact that a lot of the time I was like, what the fuck is going on? It was clever. I think her writing is very clever.
Yeah.
So I'd give it a 3. I will continue to read stories by Holly Wilde
Yes.
after this. So what about you?
Yeah. I think I'm landing at 2.5.
Okay.
It was very funny, and I think that's the best thing it has going for it. Love some representation. We've got multiple body types represented across the men, and they each had distinct personalities, which is a plus in my book. My biggest annoyance with her donut shifters, for example, was that the individual men were really practically a monolith for how little personality they each had. But I just could not get on board with the rest of it. It mostly served to throw me out of it instead of making me excited to be there.
So do you think if they became full-sized men, like...
If they were full-sized men, I think I probably would have been 3.5 even. My brain was just like, no, don't stick that in there. No, don't stick the whole thing in there. What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? Also, why didn't you reapply sunscreen beforehand? I think my anxiety just came out to play in a way that I was not prepared for, and it stressed me out the whole time.
I think you have unresolved trauma from a sunburn in your past or something.
Can you stop seeing me? For the love of God. I don't need to be observed in this fashion.
I've had sun poisoning before, which is why I think that this might have been just a bout of sun poisoning where she was hallucinating the whole time. And I think that makes me rate it higher on my...
It's relatable.
Yeah. Like, been there, especially with wine. Between drinking some wine and dehydrating a little bit and then the sun poisoning, you're going to hallucinate and think, and perhaps...
have a very vivid wet
you'll
dream.
Hallucinate and stick your sunscreen bottle up your ass. I don't know. Not me personally, but it's a possibility. I could see it happening.
Oh my God, I'm deceased.
Anywho, do you want to know who I cast for all of these characters?
Yes, please. I think I have a guess for who you put for some of these.
I think I do my best casting when I've had a glass of wine. Much like in, we talked about it in episode 1, where she pours herself a glass of wine and then she starts to make some... I have a glass of wine and then I start to get the giggles while I'm trying to cast this. So for Summer, Ashley Graham, she is a plus size model, but again, like, plus size is so, I hate that because she's beautiful. She's just not waif thin, you know?
Yes. Yeah.
So Summer I have as Ashley Graham.
Love it.
Now Stick is a little bit stocky. Mark Wahlberg. Now, this all trended a little bit older. Again, I was drinking some wine last night when I was coming up with these, and these are all men that I would like to see in these roles.
You're telling me Marky Mark climbed inside of her ass?
And then it was... Yeah, he would be totally psyched to be skipped across the top of that pool of water. Absolutely. Yeah. Now, Spray...
Oh my God.
Zac Efron.
Yeah, he was cut. You're right.
Zac Efron, peak Baywatch. However, I also feel a little bad. That was a terrible time for Zac Efron. And he's talked about how, like, having to be essentially half naked for that whole film, and how, like, he was, like, on diuretics, and, like, it was terrible to keep his physique like that. So
that makes sense.
So I do feel badly, but also from the female gaze perspective, I just want to bite him.
Well, once he's cast in our film, he wouldn't have to be quite this dehydrated.
No, not at all. I will hydrate him. I'll be on set. I can hydrate him. Anywho, Zinc.
I knew it. I knew it. I knew you were going to cast Pedro Pascal as Zinc.
Pedro Pascal as Zinc. As I was going through this and then scrolling Instagram, there was a video compilation of Pedro Pascal saying, "I'm your daddy" in Spanish. And yes, please. I texted Elle and said I might be on board for daddy now. Just for because of this. I'd call him daddy. But that might be it.
He might be the only man on the planet who can do it.
Yeah, right? And then 69, Theo James.
Okay.
Theo James is tall. He's got that dark, sexy voice. Theo James.
I'm on board.
And
I'm more on board with your fan cast than I was with the entire story. Good job.
see, this is why in the actual film they would need to, and I don't know that this could be a film. I think this could be an adult film.
It would have to be an adult film. Like, it's just, there's no plot. So you can't like gloss over the sex. It's just, that's all there is.
Yeah. But I mean, these four.
I'm speechless. It's so good.
So what do we have going on next week?
Yeah, so next week we're reading Washed Up with a Kraken by Eldridge.
Last week was Memorial Day.
Yes.
This week we are fully in June. We are kicking off summer.
And Pride Month, since one of the main characters is non-binary.
Yeah. So next week we are going to continue our summer reads. Is there anything else you've been reading this week?
No, I've been busy, unfortunately. So luckily this What the Fuck read was extremely short and I could squeeze it in, but I'm paused on my read of How to Seal Your Fate. I will get back to it once I have the bandwidth.
Yeah, I hear you. I also haven't read anything this week other than SPF Me.
And on that note, don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, tell your friends, leave a rating wherever you listen. We cannot state enough just how much it helps bump us up in the rankings and helps get our stuff surfaced to other people who may enjoy it. And with that,
we are at our wits' end.
See you next time.